Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really immersing ourselves in something special, a collection of talks, really, that give a rare glimpse into a living spiritual tradition.
That's right.
We're exploring the wisdom of Sheikh Muzaffer Ozak. He was the 19th Grand Sheikh of the Halveti-Jerrahi Order. And these insights come from his, well, informal conversations compiled in the book, Love is the Wine, Talks with a Sufi Master in America.
Mm-hmm.
So our mission today, it's to distill the core of his teaching. We're looking at spiritual transformation and the true nature of love, which, as we'll see, has a definition that holds both pleasure and, well, intense pain.
It's an incredibly rich source, definitely. And it's probably good to set the stage a bit for you, the listener.
Yeah.
This tradition, the Halveti-Jerrahi Order, I mean, it traces its roots way back to the 1300s, really, reflecting centuries of, unbroken practice.
Wow.
But what makes these particular talks, the American ones, so insightful is who actually compiled them. That was Sheikh Ragip Frager.
Right. And Frager, he wasn't just like a transcriber taking notes. He's an academic. He founded the first institution, didn't he? Granting graduate degrees in transpersonal psychology.
Exactly. So you've got this master, Sheikh Muzaffer, delivering these ancient concepts.
Uh-huh.
And then you have an editor who really understands how to bridge that Sufi framework with, well, modern psychological ideas about human potential.
So it connects.
It makes for a text that speaks very directly, I think, to the modern search for meaning.
Okay, so let's dive in. Let's start right at the foundation. If you're curious about Sufism, what's the core mission? What's the ultimate goal of this path, according to Sheikh Muzaffer?
Well, the Sheikh puts it very clearly. He says the path of Sufism is basically the elimination of any intermediary, any barrier between the individual and the divine.
Removing the middleman, so to speak.
Kind of, yeah. The fundamental goal sounds simple, but it's staggeringly difficult. It's about removing the ego's obstructions. So you stop being a barrier yourself.
Okay.
And instead you act purely as an extension of God in the world.
That's fascinating. And the book keeps saying God is love. So if you're an extension of God, that can't just be internal, can it? It must have like immediate effects on how you interact with people.
Absolutely.
So what does the Sheikh say about the dervish's role? I mean, the active role. Is it about prayer or action?
Oh, the focus is overwhelmingly on action, on service.
Yeah.
The dervish has to demonstrate compassion for others.
Right.
Being a real dervish, he says, is defined by service,
Yeah.
by helping the world. It's not just about sitting in seclusion and praying.
Mm-hmm.
And the Halveti-Jerrahi Order actually practices this. They do relief projects. It shows it's not just abstract philosophy.
So it's a really pragmatic path?
Precisely. The duties he mentions are intensely practical, almost physical, to lift up those who have fallen, to wipe the tears of the suffering, to caress the friendless and orphaned.
Wow.
You just can't achieve union with the beloved in this view if you're ignoring the suffering right next to you. The human expression of love is kind of the testing ground for the spiritual reality.
That sets a profoundly high bar for action then. It requires you to really overcome your own selfishness to serve others.
It does.
Which brings us right to the internal journey, doesn't it? If the dervish has to act as an extension of the divine, well, they have to transform themselves first.
Exactly.
So let's look at these stages of the soul he talks about. And maybe, as you listen, you can consider where you might stand on this ladder.
Right. The Sheikh outlines 4 pretty distinct stages in this spiritual evolution. We start at the bottom, the lowest state, he calls it.
Okay.
That's being completely dominated by your wants and desires.
Yeah.
Just totally run by the ego.
That sounds familiar. Sort of the state of almost constant striving, dissatisfaction. It feels very modern life, actually.
It is, very much so.
Yeah.
Then the second state is an improvement. This is where you begin the conscious struggle with yourself.
Ah, the fight begins.
Yeah. You're fighting those desires, you're recognizing them, and you're actively trying to gain some control. You're aware of the fight.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that sounds like, well, potentially years of difficult self-work. A lot of self-help or spiritual systems might even stop there. But the Sheikh goes further.
Oh, he goes much further. The third state is a massive leap. It's achieving satisfaction, contentment with whatever God provides for you.
Whatever God provides.
Whatever. There's a deep contentment there and acceptance. Freedom from that relentless chase for more.
Wait, let's pause on that one. That third stage, Finding complete satisfaction with whatever is provided. I mean, that's the complete opposite of the modern consumer idea, isn't it? Where satisfaction only comes from getting more stuff.
It's total inversion, yes.
So how does the Sheikh suggest someone handles that radical leap away from, wanting things?
Well, it goes back to the first principle we talked about, eliminating the barrier.
Ah, okay.
When that barrier, the ego, starts to soften, the need for external validation, for material things, it just fades because the internal connection becomes sufficient.
I see.
The psychological shift is profound.
Yeah.
You basically move from needing the world to simply accepting the world.
And then there's the very top, the pinnacle, the pure soul.
Right. The highest level, the pure soul. And this is where it gets truly mind-bending. The Sheikh says this pure soul isn't considered part of creation.
Not part of creation.
No, it's actually part of the infinite. It's transcended the material limits completely.
Wow.
So to achieve that state, it's realizing your innermost essence isn't bound by this temporary physical reality at all.
Okay, and here's where this transformation, this climb up the ladder, connects directly to that big theme of love, the one that gives the book its title.
Exactly.
Achieving that high state, that unburdened soul, leads right into the realm where love is the only reality.
Absolutely. Once the ego is minimized and the soul is aligned with the infinite, the resulting state is defined like this. Love is to see what is good and beautiful in everything.
That sounds wonderful, idyllic even. But then the Sheikh immediately adds this layer of paradox. He calls this love a special pleasurable pain. Why pain? That doesn't sound like just a warm, fuzzy feeling.
No, it's definitely not. The pain, as it's explained, is the friction. It's the final shattering of the ego's illusions.
Ah.
And the pleasure is the direct experience of the divine presence that rushes in. So to hold that great secret, that everything is truth and everything leads to truth, well, it requires dismantling all those comfortable lies we tell ourselves.
And that hurts.
That dismantling hurts, yes. But the realization that follows is overwhelming. You see, there's nothing but truth. And the result, you sink into the sea of truth.
Sink into the sea of truth. That's the ultimate goal then. And he says there are two ways to get there.
Yeah. The goal is they might mistake temporary spiritual highs or even delusions for genuine realization. The Sheikh, the guide, act as a kind of mirror. And, well, a guide.
Yeah.
To prevent the seeker from fooling themselves.
I see. Which leads to the other way.
Which leads to the alternative, the short way.
And that's using the guidance of the Sheikhs.
Right. And this brings us to that amazing quote, the one that's really the heart of this teaching, isn't it?
It is.
The Sheikhs are described as the pourers of the wine. The dervish, the student, is the glass. And love is the wine. And the emphasis seems to be that the Sheikh fills the dervish by hand. That guided personal transmission, that direct instruction. That's what bypasses years of potential mistakes. That's the short way.
Exactly. And this focus on the relationship, on guidance, it explains the Sheikh's teaching style, too. He rarely taught in a straight line, did he?
No, not at all.
He'd approach these really weighty concepts from all sorts of angles. He used stories, parables, allowing the seeker to absorb the knowledge relationally, not just intellectually. And he used humor brilliantly, and sometimes shock value, and to make point stick. That story about the devil is just a masterclass in teaching personal responsibility.
Oh, it's great.
The devil's tired of getting blamed for everything, right? He says, I'm innocent. So he decides to prove he doesn't need to do anything big to cause a total mess.
Right. All he does is loosen the stake of a powerful ram.
Yeah.
Just one little stake in a busy marketplace. A tiny act of, you might say, negligence.
And that tiny act spirals completely out of control. The ram gets loose, smashes an expensive mirror. The mirror's owner, the mistress, kills the ram in a rage. Her husband divorces her over it. Then their families get involved.
And it escalates into this huge feud, and many people end up dead.
Total catastrophe from one loose stake.
And the devil's cynical point is made, right? Look, I only loosened the stake. Why am I responsible for all the terrible things they did?
Yeah. But then the Sheikh delivers the real punchline, the actual teaching, which is just...
What's your stakes?
Perfect. Watch your stakes. Such a powerful reminder, isn't it? That our small choices, the little things we let slide in our character, our duties, that they can have huge radiating consequences.
Huge consequences of the whole world around us. And then almost immediately after that very practical cautionary tale, the Sheikh shifts gears completely.
Right.
He introduces the incredibly profound story of Zulaikha and the prophet Joseph. And this one illustrates the extreme transformative power of, well, pure spiritualized love.
Oh, this story is devastating. Zulaikha, she falls so madly in love with Joseph that she just loses everything. Her wealth, her power, her position. She goes mad with desire, basically. Gives up her whole world for this love.
Yeah, completely consumed. Years later, she's reduced to being an old, ragged beggar, blind from crying for him. And when Joseph finally meets her again, he recognizes this incredible devotion she had, and he actually offers to marry her.
Right, and her refusal. That refusal is the absolute key, isn't it? It brings the whole teaching home. What does she say when she refuses him?
She tells him, essentially, "No, Joseph, my great human love for you, all that intensity,
Yeah.
it was just a veil between me and the beloved,
A veil.
between me and the ultimate truth. And I have now torn that veil aside."
Wow, so even that incredibly powerful human relationship, that all-consuming love,
Well,
it was still just a barrier, a veil hiding the real goal.
exactly. That's the takeaway. Through her intense, world-shattering devotion to a human being, to Joseph, Zulaikha found the catalyst she needed. She found what was necessary to reach the ultimate source of love that, the Sheikh implies, we're all really seeking. That immense force of human desire was somehow channeled, transformed
Yeah.
into divine realization.
That level of commitment, that transformation, it brings us to the final key theme we need to unpack here, which is the challenge of the invitation.
Right.
The Sheikh talks about God offering an invitation to this path, and he uses the example of Ibrahim Atam, the king of Balkh.
Yeah, Ibrahim Achi was wealthy, powerful, comfortable. The perfect example of someone with the biggest, most satisfying earthly kingdom.
Had it all.
Pretty much. And he gets his invitation one night. He's lying in his, silken sheets, and he hears this noise up on his palace roof.
Thinks it's a burglar.
At first, maybe, but then he realizes someone is trying to plow a field up there on the roof.
Plowing the roof. That's ridiculous.
Exactly. He thinks it's completely idiotic. And then a voice comes down from the rooftop, and it asks him basically, well, if you think you can find God in your silken sheets and in bed, why not plow on the roof of the palace?
Oof. The contradiction just thrown right in his face.
Right in his face. That jarring realization, that weird, disturbing incident that was the invitation. God's invitation to abandon his life of comfort and seek a higher truth.
But he hesitated, didn't he? The king hesitated. He wanted to become a dervish, but he had, as the Sheikh says, massive considerations. He had to give up a whole kingdom,
Yeah.
the status of a sultan.
Exactly. And this is where the Sheikh really connects it back to the listener, to us. He points out that the king's hesitation is universal. It's our hesitation too. At our level, whatever that is, we often don't accept God's invitation right away, do we? We wait, we consider, we contemplate, we cling to our own little kingdoms.
Yeah.
Our comfort, our routines, our sense of security, things we're maybe unwilling to abandon immediately, even if part of us knows there's a higher truth waiting.
That really brings us nicely to a summary then, doesn't it? For this deep dive into Sheikh Muzaffer's wisdom, it seems the path requires, well, radical action, that service to lift the fallen. It requires often painful spiritual transformation, moving past being run by your desires to being satisfied with the infinite, whatever happens.
Right. Contentment.
And crucially, it redefines love. Not as some easy feeling, but as this powerful, sometimes painful force that, if you focus it correctly, lets you sink into the sea of the beloved.
Yeah, and if we connect all that to the bigger picture from these talks, the sources really highlight that this spiritual journey is profoundly active, and it's relational.
Active and relational. Okay.
It involves intense self-awareness.
Yeah.
Watching our stakes in the world, like in the devil story.
Yeah.
And deep listening. So we recognize those invitations when they come.
Like the king on his roof.
Exactly. And the main struggle, really, it's always internal, isn't it? Is between our ego's small, demanding wants and that vast, peaceful satisfaction the infinite provides.
So we'll leave you with this final thought to maybe mull over. It builds directly on that story of Zulaikha. If her intense, world-shattering, all-consuming human love for a prophet, if even that was described by her in the end as merely a veil hiding the beloved,
Just a veil.
then what ordinary, comforting human loves or loyalties, or maybe even ambitions, what might be acting as veils for you right now? What deeper truth are you maybe being invited to see just on the other side of your current attachments?